today I wanted to talk a little bit about what it's like to own a character performance company. I opened my business in 2016 and I closed it this past year, at least temporarily, because I am in grad school right now and it was just a lot all at once. But I wanted to give some of my tips and advice for anyone who is looking to open their own character company. So if that's you, then please feel free to keep watching and I hope you enjoy it. So the first thing I feel like I need to establish when talking about character performance companies is that this is hard work, especially if you want it to be a quality company. You're going to have to put 120% of yourself into this business. And it's not just about dressing up and taking pictures or wearing the costumes. It's about knowing the characters inside and out. It's about the performance. It's about being on time, delivering exactly what you're advertising to your clients. So it's much more than just putting on the glass slippers or the crown and feeling like a pretty princess. And I think that's one of the harder things about hiring people is you get a lot of people who just think, oh, I want to be a princess. I want to wear the ball gown. And they don't realize how much work and how professional you have to be, how much goes into this type of job and this role. So that can be a really hard aspect of owning a company. But I think my first tip that I want to say is do your homework. So know your characters. Know who is going to be the most popular right now, who's going to get you the most bookings. Do you just want to be another character company that people are kind of sifting through and thinking, oh, this one could work, this one could work, what are their prices? Let me choose between these two. Or do you want to be the company that stands out and your client thinks, oh, this is who I have to have. I couldn't go with anyone else. So think about that. Like I said, know the characters, watch videos on makeup applications, learn exactly what shades the characters use in the parks, and train your employees to know these things too, so everything is consistent. You want to stand out among the competition, so quality will show. And if you're going to events and you're wearing these beautiful ball gowns and giving an amazing performance and really keeping up with that character integrity, then that's going to show, and that's free advertising. You're going to get bookings just from word of mouth and people seeing you performing at events. So that's less work for you in the long run. Along with hiring performers who look like the characters, do your research on quality costumes and wigs. There are so many out there that it's hard to know sometimes what the best option is, and it can be really, really tempting. I can spend $500 on 5 different costumes and have 5 characters, or you can spend $500 on one really nice quality costume, and that will get you further in the long run because you're, again, showing that quality, and one quality costume is going to bring you more positive exposure than a bunch of like Halloween style costumes. If it's a character who's not as popular, then that's kind of tough. You really have to figure out which characters are the most popular, what your clients want right now, and what's going to book, because that will get you more bookings and then you can save up for more quality costumes. Wigs are also a huge deal. It takes nothing for wigs to look not great. So do your homework and figure out which vendors really have those nice quality wigs, because it's so easy to be at an event and just have that one kid who says, your hair's not real, your hair doesn't look real, and you go from feeling like Cinderella to feeling like a stranger in a ball gown in someone's house. So do it for yourself. You'll thank yourself in the long run. Do your research on the quality costumes and wigs. Another tip I have is get your legal documents in order ahead of time. It's such a pain to figure this stuff out. I know, like, this was like my least favorite thing ever, but it's also such a pain if you don't have all those things when it's tax season, when you need that information in those moments. It's such a headache. I've been there. I've made the mistakes of not keeping track of my receipts or my expenses and then having to pay for it in the long run. So keep track of all of those documents, keep them in a folder. That's what I did. And have them on hand for those moments that you're gonna need them. Figure it all out in the beginning and you'll thank yourself. Next tip is to outsource. This was really a struggle for me because, especially if you're starting out, you don't have the funds to hire a bunch of people to do all these different jobs. So you kind of have to get really smart about how you're gonna do this. But if you try to do everything yourself, some areas of the business are going to suffer. So for me, I am not good at math at all. So budgeting and tracking expenses and things like that were really difficult for me. So find someone who can help you with that. I've sat down with like a lawyer before and figured out all of that technical stuff, and just it's about doing the dirty work that you don't want to do. But once you do it, it's so much easier. If you can't outsource, that's what I was going to say. If you can't outsource, schedule things ahead of time. That's what I had to do. I had to stay really organized. So, give yourself a schedule. Like the first of every month is the budgeting day and the scheduling updates, keeping track of all the events you have in the upcoming month. Every Monday is costume cleaning day, things like that, tracking inventory. Give yourself a day, a specific day for that, so you're not just overwhelmed during the week thinking, oh, I still have to do this, this, and this on my to-do list. Next tip is to plan and schedule your posts ahead of time. So on social media, no matter what you're using, plan ahead, because let me tell you, there were so many days where I had a million parties over the weekend and I did not have it in me to dress up again and take pictures or even formulate like a magical sounding caption. It's just, it wasn't there. And if you've done parties before, then you know how draining they can be. So plan ahead. Like I said, if you on the first of every month plan all of your posts for the upcoming month, that is going to be such a weight off your shoulders. You can make it easier on yourself by sticking with a theme for every day of the week or every certain date. So Mermaid Mondays or Throwback Thursdays, things like that. It really, really helps and makes such a difference. Also, it's really, really helpful if you have quality pictures. So schedule a photo shoot and take a million pictures. And honestly, if you can afford to, put in make the investment into having quality photos taken, like edited photos, and use these to post, because this is what you're advertising. You want them to be true to what you're offering. You don't want them to be like overly edited or anything. But you also don't want to just take pictures on like your cell phone, because you want to be a business. Like if you were going furniture shopping and the business was just taking pictures of a couch like with the cell phone, you'd probably not be willing to pay as much as you might if you walk into a furniture store and see it all staged beautifully. So keep that in mind. It really, really helps to have like a professional photographer and planning out those beautiful photo shoots. That also helps if you are just last minute needing to post something, and you can just go into your folder you have saved of all these like really nice images you have, or you need like a Cinderella picture or a mermaid picture, and you can just kind of like go into your stock images and pull some out that you have. My next tip is to price yourself carefully and accurately. So you want to price yourself according to a lot of different things. Your experience, your performer's experience, whoever's going to be doing the party, your costumes, your wigs, your travel, your location, the competition in the area. So keep all of this in mind when you're deciding on your pricing, because it's going to be really important. It's going to be a deciding factor in whether you get bookings or not. So if you want to be a quality company, you're going to have higher prices, but in order to have those higher prices, you need to deliver what those higher prices entail. So like I said, having the quality costumes and wigs, making sure your performers are trained and experienced, making sure you have done your research and your homework and you know what you're doing, and you're not just walking in there as Belle saying, hey, what's up guys? Ready to party? No. Know your characters, know what you have to offer, and price yourself accordingly. Another huge tip is to establish your working and travel area. I made so many mistakes when I first started by booking events that were sometimes 3 hours from my location. So sometimes when I got closer to the event, I would have multiple requests for that day that I couldn't take. I had to turn down because I was going to be commuting to a party that was 3 hours away, because I either didn't think I would have more bookings that day, or I had a hard time saying no because I was just starting out, or I just simply didn't look up the location before booking. It sounds crazy, but when you're getting started and you're just excited to have an inquiry and a booking, you're kind of just like, yeah, let's do it, let's go. And then it's the day of, and you are driving 3 hours to an event, and you are turning down other events that could have helped make you some profit, and you're dead inside. So establish your working and travel area and stick to it. My next tip is to do free events for exposure, but this is only when you're starting out. So don't let people take advantage of you. And I'm going to say that again because I did it many times. Don't let people take advantage of you. They will, and they will try over and over and over again. Your time is valuable. You're working hard, especially if you're putting as much into this as you possibly can, doing all the research, the homework, investing in costumes, investing in your performers. That is all so much time and effort of yours. It shouldn't go unpaid. So someone can be offering you exposure, and that might be okay for getting started, like your first few events, but don't let people tell you that they're helping you out by you doing the work and them not paying you. Negotiate something if you want to, but that's the important part of having your prices figured out ahead of time, because you can offer them your prices and make it worthwhile to you. And if they don't book, then I mean, that's fine. Other people will book, and it's not a waste of your time and effort and everything that goes into this. I did so many free events, and honestly, after almost all of them, I was like, what did I really gain from that? Which is really hard. And I sometimes would be promised things that just didn't really work out. And then in the long run, like, all of these people get your hard work. It's like going into any other job and just working for free. So don't end up like me and work 48 hours straight without getting paid, because that is not fair. My next tip is to put time and effort into your training plan, because your head will be spinning every time you have to train a new performer if you don't have a plan. So I had a performer guide that I spent most of my life coming up with. It has party plan overviews. It has performer responsibilities. It has poses, pictures of posing, how you walk, how you pose as each character. It has costume and wig care, how to perform at meet and greets. It has pay information, questions, frequently asked questions for each character, autograph practice pages. It has more training information. It has cosmetology guides that I put together with like recommended shades and pictures of park performers, application tips, things like that. So I would give this to my performers when they were hired, and it was something they could use on training, and then they could refer back to it. They would keep it with them, and then once they left the company, they would return it back to me. And it was a huge lifesaver for all of us. Another thing I want to say, we're getting into the good and bad of character company 101, but you need to be really, really clear with your performers on boundaries and expectations, because things can get really dicey. And you really want to be clear from the start on, like I said, expectations, information that can and can't be shared. You can have them sign a non-compete, so they can't just take everything that you've kind of taught them and run with it and start their own company. Agree on pay. It should be written out. Like I said, in the binder, I have a page of what each performer would be paid for each type of event, like meet and greets, half-hour visits, 1-hour visits, 90-minute visits. All of that should be outlined, agreed upon, signed, and keep track of those documents. My next tip would be to get a booking program. So I didn't do this. I really struggled to do this because I was doing things my own way for so long and just doing everything manually that I was too set in my ways and too afraid to make the switch. So if I could go back, I definitely would start with a booking program, figuring all the ins and outs of it, and doing that from the beginning to just save myself a lot of headache. Then I wouldn't have had to manually send like follow-ups, reminders, party expectations, like signed documents, contracts, all of that. I think it also helped me feel like it was a little bit more personal when I could be manually reaching out. So I think it is nice to do that once in a while, instead of everything being just like automatic back and forth, because I know that makes me like a little bit nervous sometimes if I'm buying something and I can't talk to like a human. So I think having a booking program like Party Pro Manager, I think that's one that a lot of character company owners use. But using one of those is really helpful when it comes to those tedious tasks, but also reaching out to your clients too for like those more personal messages and those personal follow-ups and things too is really important. And my last tip, I think I have had so many tips, I kept thinking of things, is to seek out feedback when you're first starting out. So I would always send follow-ups to my clients and just ask if they wouldn't mind sharing a review or sharing any feedback they had, making sure they enjoyed the event. I would personalize it with the names of the children at the party, or the birthday girl, or and the parent's name and all that. And if I had like a photo of the event and share that with them, I think that helps make it a little bit more personal and know that I'm not just sending like automatic follow-ups. And you'll usually get some really nice feedback in return. And if nothing else, like if they have something they wanted to share, then try to meet that with acceptance and just hear them out, because that's how you're going to do better in the future and get more bookings. So listen to your clients from the start, figure out what they're looking for, and do that. Just a reminder that I at least with my business, I would live by the phrase that the customer is always right. And that can be really, really, really hard to do. Fortunately, I didn't have a lot of situations where the customer I felt was, like out of place or out of line. But I think you're kind of like only making things worse for yourself if you're going to like argue with the client, and if they're unhappy for some reason, just kind of like try to hear them out and come to an agreement so both parties end up satisfied. Just treat them how you would want to be treated if you bought a product and you weren't entirely happy with it. So these are my tips, all of my tips. I could definitely think of more, but I don't want this video to be super long. So I had a lot of great years working for character companies and owning my own character company, and I did a lot of things right, but also a lot of things wrong, in my opinion. So if I could go back and do it all again, there are some things I would keep and some things I would definitely change too. So I really hope these were helpful to you. Again, thank you for watching. And my last tip, I knew I was gonna have another one. Have fun, because this shows. It's very obvious, especially to the kids, if you're not enjoying yourself. So keep that smile on, even though there are kids screaming, even though someone's putting their sticky hands on your ball gown, even though there's a little kid reaching for your $500 wig, keep a smile on. People want to know that you're enjoying yourself and having a good time. And that really shows and matters the most when you have a character company. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.